Welcome to the Nailed It Wall.
Welcome to episode 62 of the Nailed It Wall. I told you people, we're back and we meant it. This week, we're going to talk about Miss Scofield, rodeo number 2, bringing her daughter to college. And we're starting the 4th week of our school year. Can you believe that? The 4th week. It's hard to believe. All right, people, buckle up and enjoy the ride. Mr. Lane, the STEM guy.
And I'm Miss Schofield.
Miss Schofield, as we start off every episode, we got to know, how did you nail it this week? Or failed it? It's a nailed it or failed it.
Yeah, I was really giving this a lot of thought. I feel that, first of all, week 4, it just feels so surreal to be going into week 4 and not have the...
I was a little late there, but I promise I'm going to be better with the sounds.
You did. But I feel that it has been off to a great start. I would say my biggest nailed it has been doing the newsletter so far, communicating with the parents. We had, I would say, a good turnout for curriculum night, and I was happy to have so many parents come out and listen to our spiel, if you will, but then also to roll out the cell phone idea of reducing screen time. I need to do better. I would say that's kind of a failed it where I didn't follow through in sending that content home. But the newsletter, I've been proud because I have been using Adobe for the last 2 years after we kind of segued away from Sway. And I ran into a hiccup this week where I guess they changed their whole, their whole program or their whole website, and everything is different. So when I sent the link out to my team, something got lost in translation. I don't know. It was like literally right in the middle of them changing over everything. So I had to figure it all out because half of my team had filled theirs in, and Mr. Skates and I had not. And I was able to dig in and navigate it and figure it out and solve the problem. And I felt very proud of myself for that, because you get you get used to, comfortable with knowing how to navigate certain sites. And so when you're thrown for a loop like that, and having to figure it out on the fly, it worked out great. So I say that's a nailed it.
Wow, that's impressive. I love it. And today you actually did a great job. Last week we kind of touched on a little bit about your failures, and you came back and you had the students create with their brochures, like little posters.
For the failures?
Yeah, the failures.
So it's almost like a card. It's a half sheet folded in half, so it looks almost like a little card. And they normally put them all up on an interactive bulletin board. But this year, since I did the personality quizzes, I had the groups make posters of the different personalities and their traits and strengths, weaknesses, all of that. And so I displayed them up on that one spot that I typically use. And so the failures went off on a whiteboard, like a huge wall, but they kept falling off the wall. And so typically we all go and we look at everybody's failures and take it in and kind of then share out. But because of their placement, it kind of got all shifted. And so I never really got to read all of them until I took them all down, which is kind of a failure right there that they all fell off the wall. Really cheap tape. Go ahead, do your sound effect. I can see you trigger happy.
A little late with the sound.
Yeah,
I was just taking in your words, and I got to be quicker. We need a sound guy. We need We need a bigger budget here at the Nailed It Wall.
So they all fell off. Most of them fell off the wall. So then I just took them down. And today the kids were working on an independent activity, and so I took time to go through each one. And I came across some of the most amazing failure choices. Some of them were family members that have overcome really difficult things and have gone on to really impress the person that wrote about them. And I was truly touched by that. Somebody wrote about their mother. Actually, I think 2 people wrote about their mother. Somebody wrote about a brother. It was just honestly beautiful. And I got to see the whole side of my kids that I hadn't seen, who they chose, why they were important. So it really indicated if they were a soccer fan or, a music fan, all that. But again, I just, I love what their reflections were about failure and how they process that too. And I don't know, it's just a gift that kept on giving.
Well said, well said. And it's just so cool for you to share how touched you were by the students of being that vulnerable and being that open with you. And these are eighth graders, and kind of sharing that and knowing that that'd be hung up on the wall, and the artwork. So many times you're like, check out this artwork. Look at this Tupac.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this Van Gogh. And so it was really awesome to see that. My nailed it was I was a part this past year. I was part of 500 STEM infused teachers, part of this ASAP STEM fellowship through Arizona State University. And part of it was you had to do 20 hours of professional development. And the whole thing was to get people back into professional development in person.
Which is awesome.
Which is really awesome, because I really hadn't thought about doing professional development and learning new things and pushing myself the last couple of years since COVID. And so you had to do these 20 hours, and that's what really pushed me to do the I.C.C thing and go for that and apply for that. And our district was so kind to pay for me to go to I.C.C and experience that. But so you had to do 20 hours of professional development, so many hours in person, and then they gave you a stipend for your classroom, which I bought some pretty awesome things for my STEM classroom, because we know being a STEM teacher, it gets expensive. And you had to submit 4 lesson plans. And I love the last minute pressure. I had all summer
That's how you thrive.
to do these things. All summer. All summer to do these things. And I just was doing professional development. I've never worked so much in my summer of going to trainings through our district. We presented at our Tech Fest, which was awesome, so much fun. We saw our SAGE teacher, Miss Eberhardt. She was so excited about GimKit and using it in her classroom, and took what she did, and just you weren't with me when she was sharing it, but she was beyond giddy. She was so excited that it worked, and it was so cool how she talked about those kinks, and got us excited about presenting. Like, we just had so much fun that day.
We really did.
We love to present. So anyways, had all summer to get these things done, and the deadline was coming up. It was like in the first or second week of school here, and it was just hanging over my head, just trying to plug away these 4 lessons, getting your receipts and getting all this thing. But it's just such an amazing program, and it truly made me a better teacher, thinking of aligning these different things to ELA standards and science standards, and tying all these STEM lessons. But lo and behold, today I finally got the email that all 4 lesson plans are in and approved, with some minor tweaks coming back and forth there. But what happened here in Arizona is there's a website with all of these lesson plans, and it's truly amazing what they were able to compile from all these STEM teachers around the state. And you applied for year 2. I applied for year 2 as well. But they're going from 500 to 400 teachers. So our fingers are crossed. And you talk about being rejuvenated, and everyone in my PLC, there was 4 of us in our PLC, and they just said they just needed this like bump of life into STEM education, and so much excitement of what we do, and a connected community, and the professional development it was just so crazy. And I can't get over this feeling of just pride of, they sent out a thing of how many professional development hours these teachers did this past year, how many lesson plans are turned in. People from all over the world want to be part of this and this model. And the big thing was to get teachers back doing professional development in person, and just that impact in the classroom, and just the stipend for what it meant to our students and what it gave them. So it was really one of those rare opportunities that I'm just like, just you sit back and you're like, wow, that was pretty unique, and I had this opportunity to go on this ride, and so thankful for everyone in my PLC. And I know I was stressing them out where I'm like, oh, don't worry about it, I got this, I'm gonna get it done, I'm doing this, this and that. And they were all rooting for me. They were really stressed, and so it just feels so great to have that done. But just eager to do it again. Like this Saturday, I already want to go to a PD. Last Friday, I started doing the Minecraft PD online, and I just can't get enough. Like I had these little Adafruit express circuits, and I had no clue how powerful these little things were. And they've been in my classroom since Ella was in 8th grade, that
That's
first year.
insane.
And some were like the Adafruit Classic boards, and some were the Express. I don't even know how it got mixed up there. But then Hope is like, I went to her thing at Tech Fest. I went to her Makerspace thing there, and I'm like, wow, those things are pretty cool. And I was like, how do you code these? And she's like, MS Make Code. I'm like, what? You can code these on MS Make Code? And she's like, yeah, you better use those or I'm going to take them from you. And then I was like, oh. And so even today in class, I was sitting with one group, and we were going through trying to figure out, and I'm like, how could we get a bigger speaker on here? And it was just so fun working this group of girls, is where I'm like tapping this one and then sitting together, something I've never done, with copper tape, and we got it to work. And it was just so fun to have an entire class of 8th graders kind of working on their projects. Like, oh, Mr. Lane, it's working. And I was just so proud of, what this ASAP STEM fellowship has given to me as an educator, to get me excited, to get me that passion again, to just give my absolute best to the kids.
Yeah, I have 100% seen that in your classroom with you as an educator, but then also how that has ignited this flame in your class with the students and their feeling. Especially, I love that you're teaching at an 8th grade plus level to my kids. They feel appropriately challenged. I like that you started a process with them that you kind of tested out, but it's difficult to know if it's going to actually go the way you want it to. And you still went forward trusting that it would work out. And it's even cooler when there's like a tiny couple little hiccups that they are the ones that sort out and work those kinks out, and they are so engaged. Every time I come into your class, they're so dialed in. They have so much ownership. And these are things that spark those passions that then lead kids to go down certain paths. And it's just so cool. And I love that, it just feels right to see a mountain of cardboard outside your classroom, as it should be. It's the time of year. It's cardboard time.
Now that I'm thinking about
It's
that.
raining today.
It hasn't rained in Arizona. Today was the first day. It was actually like below 100 degrees. It was cloudy. Had carpool duty. I mean, you should have seen how fast we got those kids out of there. It was a miracle. But it's been hot here in Arizona, and just 110, just streak after streak after streak of just hotness. And
Promised
we
rain,
finally saw
promised
some,
rain,
yeah.
promised rain, no rain. Now that you have cardboard.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's the beauty of a makerspace there. And, you're constantly tweaking, and kind of like how you revitalize your classroom with your aesthetic. And, it just, I think the main component, kids come back and they say, it's like, you are the fun, it looks the same, even though it's totally different. You're like, it doesn't look the same, and I think it's when kids walk in, it's like they get that feeling, and it's a belief, it's a mindset, and it's how you make kids feel.
I appreciate. I really think that is something that's so important to both of us, and to the beautiful thing is to many teachers on our campus, which I think is why we just love it so much there. But I had a really cool moment today because, this year I've made a conscious choice. I was talking about the personality posters, and I've made a conscious choice to infuse as much art as I can into as many lessons as I can, because I have seen, an art, including making, maker stuff, because I've seen how much they connect the concepts on a much deeper level, and in a way that kind of sticks with them. And today I had them do this foldable. I did it last year too, and I liked it. I just thought this connected for them. And so they kind of gripe at me. You have the artistic kids, the kids that like that, and they thrive. And you have the kids that are not vibing with that. And it doesn't matter because it's the same expectation across the board. And so I said today, when somebody was complaining, like, do we have to draw a picture? Does it have to have color? And we went back to the instructions and saw, yes, indeed, those were things. And I then posed the question to my class: why do you think I keep having you draw pictures? Why do you think I have you use color? And so then one of the students said, I think that's going to help us remember it better. And I was like, yes, this is the thing. And so then it kind of got the kids thinking, like, it's not busy work. It's not because I want to torture them. And it's not because I'm trying to favor one learning style than the other. It's the complete picture. And it was such a cool moment. And it just reinforced, like, I'm really glad that this is something that I'm trying to make sure to do with my kids, because this year I want to find even more ways for them to retain, not learn and then dump. I want them to leave my class with that knowledge, as much knowledge as they can. That's just part of them, not stuff that they had to learn, but because they did learn it, and it's just now part of who they are.
I think the cool thing is you've had so many chance encounters bumping into former students, and they've taken advanced bio, and they've had this teacher and that teacher, and they've come back and they've said the same thing over and over, where your class got me through this, and they came back to that. And as a teacher, that's like the greatest joy. And they're off to college now, and they're like, I remember what we did in 8th grade, and it got me through that advanced bio class, and where they're going now. So it's so cool that you have that moment. And I agree on the color. I had students who were creating these super digital citizen comic strips, and so it takes the kids some time to process, being like, all right, how can I relate this to my life? Whether it's an Adopt Me scenario or Fortnite or Minecraft. But then once they're like, do we have to have color? I'm like, yes, comic strips are in color. We need color. And then just that extra pop and pizzazz, like just a little bit of color and time to give them color, it just makes all the difference.
Yeah, it's so interesting how well they have received it. And not all artwork looks the same. I always say, I'm not judging the level of your artistic abilities. I am judging whether or not you follow the criteria, and I can tell that this made sense to you.
Yeah. I remember I had a teacher friend who taught 3rd grade, and she had a principal that said, I should never come into your classroom and see kids coloring.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah.
That's awful.
It is awful. And the kids just, it's relaxing. I love to color as an adult. Like when I get time to like color.
To me.
And
not all
it's just,
admin are created equal.
They are not. And so it's just so powerful that when kids are coloring, like what that means to their interactive notebook, their assignment, or what they're doing, and just the conversations that they have as they're doing it. And I mean, I had kids in 3rd grade, 1st through 3rd grade, doing some coloring, and it was just so cool. Like we were labeling the parts of a Chromebook, and then they had to draw their favorite thing to do on a Chromebook, and just the pizzazz of color was just so exciting there. Shifting gears, now you have a junior and about to be a sophomore in college. Now, I remember our last podcast.
Junior in high school.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Yes. Clarify there.
Junior in high school, and soon to be sophomore in college.
That is true. Now, you're going to California this weekend. You're leaving the heat. You're getting out of the desert. What's your mindset in year 2 of dropping your daughter off at college?
Complete pride. Complete pride in the fact that my young little, my little one has left my home and forged her own path. And I mean, honestly, she's just thriving. And she really wanted that. And, you think, oh, she'll probably do well. However, seeing her, you have to navigate living away from home, figuring all your meals out, interacting with roommates that you're just getting to know, all of the things, study, like finding the balance of your study time. She got a job while she was out there. She joined a sorority while she was out there. And honestly, she's found the balance, and she's changed her major, this year, which she was really nervous to tell me. However, that's what life is finding your passion, finding the things you connect with, and doing the things that you love, the things you're drawn to. And so I'm really, really proud of her. She's very excited to go back. And, she's moving into an apartment this year. And I'm thrilled. I love that she's so close to her roommates. I think it's a beautiful thing. I don't have that same overwhelming, intense feeling this year because I know what my relationship will look like now with my daughter, because we've lived it for a year and it has shifted, but I absolutely love it. And I feel in a good place, and I know she's in a good place. I don't have any preconceived notions that there will be a tearful goodbye. My son and I will be lucky if we, leave without a footprint in our hiney sending us away. She's extremely independent unless she runs out of money. But, honestly, I just am incredibly proud of the person that she is. I really am. I have really enjoyed watching her find her own way. And it is, that's what, to me, I never looked at my kids and thought, stay this size, stay this age. I always wanted to know who they were. And with each year, I get to know more of who they are. And I just feel like that's such an honor to know the person that I have, brought into the world that really ultimately is their own person. It's a beautiful thing.
Wow, deep. I mean, I feel like we needed some nice music in the background there. That's where the sound guy comes in. I can't say it anymore. Like that was a beautiful soliloquy on college life as a mother. Now, can you break down your goodbye last year as you were saying goodbye?
Well, my son probably can, because he's definitely still traumatized by the abruptness, the lack of conflict on her behalf. I would say, as I recall, we lingered a bit for the day. We had to drive back to Arizona, and so we didn't want to stay too late.
Which was a year yesterday, right?
Yeah, a year yesterday. So we went to lunch, and it was just kind of awkward. And number one, it's a dorm room, so it's very small. And not only were we in there, but then also her other 2 roommates were in there, plus, portions of their family from time to time. So, it's just a little cramped. And then when, I like, there was she didn't want any of her stuff hung. It was very limited stuff she wanted help with. So it was kind of very much like as if they're staring at you being like, okay, so thanks for coming. so, and so I was having a really hard time, and, hugs and stuff, but she was so excited. Everything was absolutely brand new. And so I had cried the whole drive out there, so I was okay. I was sad. I was shocked. I was like, okay, well, that wasn't really anything. But then my son and I got stuck in crazy, crazy, crazy traffic going home. And then to boot,
You don't deal well with traffic.
no, and it was awful traffic, memorable traffic. And then the most insane storm that we drove into. And I genuinely feel like I needed that kind of heinous focus because I couldn't focus on Ella and leaving her. It was like I had to be present fully to be able to survive the drive. And so I think that was a gift from the universe of just letting me having my mind elsewhere. But yeah, it was very intense. I'm hoping this year will be a lot less dramatic because I feel in a good place. So I don't need all of the fire and brimstone this year. So universe, please hear me. I'm good.
No, didn't the street like split behind you, like the highway? Like wasn't
Oh yeah,
there?
there was a portion of the freeway that washed out after we had gone through, but by like maybe 40 minutes, maybe, something like that. It was a short amount of time, but the part of the freeway washed out right in an area we would have been. It was so and there was reports, I think, ahead of us. So if we had gone earlier by like an hour or so, there was baseball size hail and crazy winds and flooding. And then behind us, the road washed out like 40 minutes behind us. So it's like you look at that timing too, and it was like just this perfect protected pocket, although insanely intense. But we were really quite fortunate.
Well, it has been exciting to kind of see your maturation as a mother in terms of where you were from freshman year and going into sophomore year. You're just really so zen about it, and you just have loved the summer with your daughter, and could not be more proud of how hard she worked in her freshman year and all the experiences she took in, and just how happy she is. I mean, so many kids go to school, they're miserable with what they chose, and they figure out college is not for them, and some things they're behind. And your daughter has just absolutely soaked up the friends, the experience, the notion. I know some people say it's the best 4 years of your life, but she's just like, the best year of my life is the year right now. And you are in just such a good place. It's just so cool to see how happy you are for her and where she's going.
I appreciate that. I think honestly, what I notice now is the people that probably need the most TLC, parents, I would say initially, but my son, he's having a hard time. I think it's been hard for him because he had a hard time with the transition of her being gone, and then her being back this summer was great. But he didn't get to spend as much time as he thought he would. So I think that was hard for him. And then to have her go back, he has voiced a couple times how hard that is for him. And, it's like, as the mother, I think, oh, my kids, and, this is hard for me or whatever. But I forget for the siblings, it's got to be incredibly difficult because this is your playmate for your whole life, and for them, it's your world is pretty rocked in that department. Even my kids are teenagers, and you think like, oh, whatever, but you realize if they're being honest, which my son is all the feels and is years beyond his years in maturity in that department, it's definitely hard for them.
Well said again. Well said again, my friend. And I love how vulnerable and real you've been about this whole experience. We can't wait for the recap next week when you come back and tell us how year 2, freshman to sophomore year drop was, and how it was on you and your boy there. And, we've reached that time. We're trying to do a good job. Keep it to 30 minutes. Quick recap of our week, tell you what we're doing, where we're going, what we're excited about, all the positivity and education. All right, people, as we always say, if you can be anything, be kind. If you're on social media, you can find me on Twitter, aka x.com, which Miss Scofield's not accepting. You can find me at Mr. Lane the STEM Guy.
And me at a positive proton.
If you like this this podcast, we like coffee. Apparently, I need a coffee right now. You can buy us a coffee on Buy Me a Coffee. Search me up at Mr. Lane the STEM Guy.